being in the year 1978 under the leadership of late engineer Mr. Katmore, our ex-secretary and chief engineer WD R&D as a president, with membership from the PWD, from the PHE, and town and country planning members from these departments. The association was actively involved with issues and welfare of the fellow engineers in the various common departments. For instance, the first Meghalaya Pay Commission 1978, improvement of service condition of the engineering fraternity and service rule duty, which was initiated in the year 1987. The association is also actively involving itself with social and welfare activities in the public arena. The first general meeting of the association was held in the year 1989 in Ceylon.
Regarding number enforcement to be used in our RCC buildings. Of course, this is still an ongoing research initiative. I've seen several papers that have also tried to use bamboo as a replacement to reinforcement. One important fact regarding bamboo is that, from what I've seen from the papers, is that it has to be treated properly so that there's no moisture that enters into the bamboo, because once moisture gets into bamboo, then the whole process of making bamboo reinforcement fails. So that's one thing that I've seen in most of the papers. Making bamboo has to be treated first before using them in RCC. But of course, I think as of now, I'm not sure if we have any codes that have implemented this bamboo reinforcement in RCC. But I'm sure that research is going on, and I think in the coming years, perhaps it might be qualified the use of bamboo at that time. Thanks.
During our childhood days, when we see these Assam type houses under construction, you will see that these Ikara dwellings, they are being reinforced by that bamboo. We call it Khasi Kadai, and you can see that these houses up to 70, 80 years also, they still sustain themselves, and they are earthquake resilient, like you can call it a technology. So I think this is a good research being done by Dr. Sivyong, and I hope we can further go ahead to make it to incorporate it in the building code, or this what do you call it, in the building code of the country. So if more research work can be done, I think that's a very good idea. Thank you.
Retrofitting means seismic retrofitting. So my question is this: what about this epoxy injection? How successful is this epoxy injection in case of beam or slab or column failure. That's my simple question.
Well, epoxy grouting is usually employed in beam column junctions, especially to strengthen the beam column junctions, and of course in places where strength of the concrete, where there are voids in the concrete. So if there are any voids in the concrete that can be seen, that can be detected from ultrasonic pulse velocity tests that is usually performed, a non-destructive test that is performed. So if they find out there are some voids in such numbers, so we just fill up the voids by using epoxy injecting. So basically the objective of epoxy injecting is nothing but is just to fill up the voids in the concrete, because the voids in the concrete are the one that are the inherent weakness of the concrete. The compressive strength concrete becomes weak because of the voids that are present in the concrete. So epoxy injection is just to fill up those voids. By reduction of those voids, the strength of the concrete will be enhanced. So that is just the process of epoxy injection. Thanks.
Now, this is one of the reasons why there is so much congestion in almost everywhere, every part of our state. We know as per codal provision that the building lines is to be maintained 3 meters away from the ROW edge, but that is not being done. Now I feel one of the greatest problem is in the case of post-disaster scenario is clearing the debris when a high-rise building falls on the road. That will, because a high-rise building, when it collapses on the road, no bulldozer can just be engaged to dismantle the building or to pull it apart, because there will be fear of lives being trapped inside it. So the dismantling will have to be done very carefully. But in the meantime, it is blocking the highway, it is blocking the road, which is also required to be clear in order to take, to ensure that aids and other interventions are done in other parts of the road beyond that stretch where the road is blocked. Now, in view of this, and in view of the situation in our state, don't you feel that we should enforce that building line?
So this is the part of the, like I've said, there are underbuilt buildings, not only especially along the roads, but of course everywhere we can see, because of underbuilt buildings, it's creating a havoc in the sense that all the roads are jammed up, they are cramped up, we're not able to have proper roads where we are able to, suppose if there is any post-disaster earthquake or any kind of a catastrophe, so all the emergency responses will not be able to reach places because of your small approaches of roads. So these are the points that's why I'm trying to highlight is that we should be having some kind of regulation, just like you said, sir. I believe might be from, especially from the government in some sense, because as a building is concerned, we have in Shillong we have the Meghalaya Urban Development Authority. In municipal areas, they're taking up the regulation of building construction. So I believe in the same way, perhaps if we have some kind of a regulation for other private construction in other parts of the areas doesn't fall into municipal areas. So some form of regulation has to be there, sir, so that in a disaster scenario, so we will not be creating any problems post-disaster scenario, and not only in terms of clearing of debris in roads or such, but the building itself will be strong enough to resist earthquakes. Pre-disaster scenario, we are able to enforce not only the how the building will be placed in the how far from the border should the building be placed, but the building itself should be strong structurally also, so that there will be no loss of lives because of its weakness. So those kind of I think regulations we should try to enforce from the government especially, so that all our buildings will be made earthquake resilient. At the same time, maintaining all the, this will be architectural aspects of the buildings also will be taken care of. So thank you, sir.
I think in Shillong urban area, and I think in Tura also, we are having this Muda Urban Authority, which Meghalaya Urban Authority, in which before we get any permission for construction of a building. I mean, this is, as far as my knowledge is concerned in Shillong, I think dated back to, I think, 15 or 20 years now, when you are not getting the permission from MUDA, then means you can't construct a building. And those supervisors, they're very strict on this. And I hope this thing also is happening in Tura town. Whereas in Shillong nowadays, if you want to get a permission, you have to, they'll come and check the edge from the ROW to your property and from where the building has to be constructed, and what is the site distance and what is the safe distance from one houses to the other, and all these things are being in place. Then only you'll be getting the building permission. So regarding illegal construction, that is another thing which the government has to deal firmly with this. But regarding all legal construction in and around Shillong, Tura, Jowai or any parts of India, I think without these things enforced, then you will never get a permission. And another thing, I am very hopeful that let's hope that no bigger earthquake comes so that there will be a disaster. Thank you.
We discussed something about roads also. What shall we do with these construction activities nowadays, where we allow contractors to go the rate below also? Sometimes even up to 31% below. Can we ensure disaster resilient structures with this type of agreements?
Actually, for building permissions in Shillong, we are being governed by the building bylaws for municipal areas, and then for non-municipal areas, we are being governed by the building bylaws of the district council, which is also in place, and these bylaws are very similar to each other. And so for any person constructing a house in Shillong, municipal area or outside, they have to get a building permission from these two government bodies. And if a person is found violating the norms which they have issued, they will be penalized, plus that legal structure will be dismantled. That was what we have discussed today.
I'm speaking here about road constructions. Oftentimes, we are minimizing our cost per kilometer roads at the expense of other protective works just to get sanctioned. Because everybody is looking at the cost per kilometer. Nobody will bother to go to the site whether those protective works that we are proposing are actually required. It is because of this practice we have been just constructing roads without giving proper thoughts to protection. That is why when the road is constructed, the first rain comes and landslips and damages start occurring. Those things could have been prevented if our DPR had been done properly and with a proper sanction. So don't you think that the authorities concerned should not put a limit like the cost of the estimate should be this much per kilometer? Okay, if it is regarding pavement, okay, that is more or less general, that is understood. But other works like artwork and embankment, slope of cutting, this will also be dictated by site conditions. What kind of soil it is. We are seeing everywhere now, even this national highway from Tura to Dalu that is being done now, that being improved now. We have seen the project is not completed, but the damages have started occurring. I don't know in their case whether they have not got the required sanction required to take care of all those bad condition stretches where the whole hill lock, the whole hill slope just slide. Okay, there is nothing wrong with the pavement, but the entire foundation itself just slided down. Okay, so I hope there is no problem with the design of the pavement, but the problem is with the foundation of the road itself. If we have to take care of all those, then our project cost will be very high. So I think in order to ensure resilient infrastructures, resilient roads, we have to do roads properly, no matter how much it may cost. But we must ensure that there is zero maintenance later on. So I think that should be the concept from now on with respect to road construction in Meghalaya. I've seen in the Western countries, from pictures, from video clips, the initial investment is really very high. But later on, maintenance, there is zero maintenance, except routine maintenance sometimes.
There should not be any kind of a compromise with regard to quality of work, basically. So no matter how much, like you said, sir, the cost, we should always try to make our structures strong enough so that it will withstand the test of time. Like you said, we should, like we provided for pavement is fine. At the same time, we should, just like I said also in my speech, that ours is a very special case. We have a special terrain. We have a hilly terrain. It's not plain belt like the Assam or something. So whenever we construct a road, all things should be taken into consideration. Even the earth wall, because earth wall, when you have your prevention of landslip, some kind of mitigation measures to prevent landslip wherever earthquakes are done. So those kind of features should be added in our DPR so that there will be no unwanted or undue breaking of roads or collapsing of retaining wall or soil. Such kind of things may be prevented if we have added all such things in our DPR. And I'm also I'm second hand, sir, whatever you said, that we should not restrict our DPR, whatever amount that we have, take into consideration everything that we could add in our DPR. Thank you, sir.
Garudars again is prone to disaster than other part of the states of Meghalaya. Be it the flood, which is happening quite frequently in the plain of Garo Hills, be it the landslides, and of course earthquake has not happened recently. So this theme of the general meeting is very appropriate, and I request all the members to really give a thought on it and then improve your the way, the procedures or the functioning, so that it can really help the people of the state in future. And as a retired person, a retired engineer, I request all the engineers that are serving, right from the senior one to the younger engineers who are in various areas, in various departments of the state, who are members of MESA, to kindly take special care in while building infrastructures. We have heard a lot. What happens if we don't comply with the norms? Means it is disastrous. That's the only thing that I can say. If you don't comply with specification, the result will be disastrous. So that is disaster. So I request all the young engineers, the experienced and young engineers as professionals to take special care to build good quality infrastructure as well as the durable one.
Thank you, sir.
Cheer
of the group. You have lighted the room with your vibrant and wonderful performance.
I take this opportunity to greet and thank all the engineers of our state for your immense contribution to the growth and development of our state in particular and the nation in general. As engineers, you have contributed so much for the growth and development of the state as well as the nation. According to a well-known quote which says, I quote, "Engineering is the professional art of applying science to the optimum conversion of natural resources to the benefit of man." This quote exemplifies engineers' influential role in national development. Engineers are those who work at the intersection of science and society. Engineers are the foundation of development and technology. The term that you have chosen for this gathering towards disaster resilient infrastructure, presented by Dr. Hopeful CMO, I thank him for his beautiful presentation and everyone who have participated in the discussion. Towards disaster resilient infrastructure in Meghalaya. These simple words are positive and forward-looking, I would say. They are about embracing change and accepting challenges. And as engineers, that is very much what you are about. India today has a significant vision and mission in the areas of science, space research, defense development, rural development, renewable energies, agriculture, food processing, information, communication, technology, education, and so on. And for this, engineers with vision, engineers with passion to turn these visions into action, courage to think differently, and courage to confront the problems, these kind of engineers are now required.